Hey guys, how's it going? This is Davis. I am the chief designer at Adro, and I am responsible for designing all the parts that is coming out of Adro. The reason why I wanted to start this YouTube is because I was an OEM exterior designer for the past 11 years. I was a senior designer at Mercedes, Hyundai, and Rivian. And I joined Adro about a year and a half ago, and I kind of want to share my knowledge just in regards to the exterior car design, to share thoughts and share ideas with you guys. So yeah, this is our first YouTube, and I wanted to kind of talk about Porsche 911. So the reason why I chose Porsche 911 for the first subject of the exterior design is because car design is super controversial. Some might love this design, some might hate it, or majority of the people think the car is ugly, but they still buy it, right? So it's really a matter of taste. And I didn't want to touch base on the controversial design in the beginning. I wanted to do something that is received as the most iconic and beautiful car in the world. And that, of course, leads to Porsche 911. Now, Porsche 911 has a lot of history, and there's so many reasons and functions and, history why people love that car so much. But now, today, I want to approach this in a pure design perspective. Why Porsche 911 is so sexy. And I want to break it down into 2 points. Number one is the proportion of the 911. And number 2 is the stance. And I will explain to you why Porsche 911 is perceived as the most beautiful car in the world because of these 2 aspects. First of all, as I mentioned, is the proportion. Now, if you think about a sports car, you can draw whatever sleek, long sports car you want to draw. A coupe with 2-seater, it'll look good. Side view profile, it'll look sleek, it'll look fast, it'll look really nice. But can you tell me what brand this car is? It could be anything. It could be a Jaguar, it could be a Mercedes, it could be Hyundai or whatever. But now let's draw a 911. I can probably summarize this in about 4 to 5 lines. The wheels, circular headlamps, and this drop tail with the cabin. And just drawing this, people will know that it's a Porsche. So what is so unique about this proportion that all the other car manufacturers don't follow this proportion? Is because I would sum it up of 2 key points. First of all, this car, the engine is in the rear, so it's a rear engine platform, which allows it to have the hood as low as possible because there is no engine in the front. So if I draw this in a perspective point of view, circular headlamps, it automatically allows you to drop the hood as much as possible, revealing the headlamps, we call it the pontoon fenders, to pop out of the car, which makes this a very unique proportion. Not many sports cars have this. They usually have, the mainstream sports cars, they usually have the engine in the front, which there's a limit to how much the hood you can drop it down to. But Porsche doesn't have the limit. You can drop it down to however you want. Now the second point, now this is the hood. The second point is the silhouette of the rear. Now they have managed to drop down the rear as much as possible 2, which makes it also a very unique proportion. Now this car, keep in mind, is a 2 plus 2, but it is actually a 2-seater because you can only fit like childs at the back. It's not really meant for adults to sit at the back. So because the engine is in the rear, it forces the occupants to sit more towards the front and a little child at the back, meaning you can drop this roofline as much as you want. So I think these are the 2 unique aspects in terms of proportion why the Porsche is so different from the other car designs. Okay, now the second part I want to talk about is the stance. Now Porsche has a super unique stance which makes it stand out from other sports cars is the rear fender. Now let me draw you a Porsche from the rear. So yes, you have a small cabin, and then you have the taillights, then you have this massive rear shoulder, which is so recognizably Porsche. And this makes it stand out from all the other sports cars on the road. So now let's go a little more deeper with the stance. So just a basic idea about the stance. Think of it as a wrestler. Like if you're doing wrestling and somebody wants to flip you the other way around, you want to be able to stand on the ground with your arms open wide, with your legs open wide, so that the other guy cannot flip you over, right? You don't want to be doing this when you're doing wrestling. You don't want to be sitting, lying down like this. Then you'll be so easily flipped over by the opponent. So basically, if I draw that, you want to do. Sorry for my drawing. I'm a car designer. I'm not a character designer, but. Now you want to be stanced out like this instead of that. That's called anti-stance. And that is a good stance. And the stance is one of the key elements of car design because you want the car to sit right on the wheels. I mean, you see the cars on the streets, you see it parked, but most of the times when you see the cars are the moments when you see them on the highway or on the street when it's running. It's a moving object. So you want, when the car is moving fast, beside you, all you see is the proportion and the silhouette and the stance. And if the proportion and the stance is right, then you perceive it as a beautiful object. And Porsche does that incredibly right. How do they do that? How do they make the stance? Now, this also relates to the package that they have. Now, this is the perspective I drew right now. And look at that shoulder when you see it from the front quarter perspective. And this is what creates the stance for Porsche. Not only the width from the rear, but also from the front quarter. So this is really important when you talk about stance in a Porsche. So that's how Porsche does it. Of course, the front fenders, yes, front fenders are also wide. It shows a lot of highlights there, but it's really about the rear shoulder, which differentiates the Porsche from the other brands. And that's, as a purely designer perspective, I think these proportions and stance are the 2 aspects that make Porsche a great design. Now, today I wanted to start with something really simple and easy to understand, exterior design of a 911. But I am open to any kind of discussions. Please feel free to write in comments what you want, what you're curious about, why is this design like this? Why is this car uglier than that car? You know, everything you can think about. Just let us know in the comments and I will see you guys again with an answer as a designer's perspective on all the questions. Thank you guys.